Deck, it has been
Yo,
a very long time.
it's actually
Kampai,
pretty, man.
Kampai with my blurry glass of Vimto
Yeah,
squash.
I was gonna say, yeah, there we go.
There we
Boom.
go, boom.
I'm
Kampai.
pie.
It has been a while. I mean, it's been, I think, has it been over a year since we
It's
recorded a podcast?
longer, I think. Yeah. L- About a year and a half, I reckon.
Has it really been that long? It was something that we
Yeah.
definitely wanted to do more, and then the winter hit, and we couldn't be bothered to lug equipment
Yeah.
between apartments.
That and then yeah, Corona hit as well, and it's
And then I did
and
the worst betrayal of all. I left Japan. May
can't believe it.
2021, the fateful month.
Can't believe it.
How have you coped
I'm
without me?
still well. I've got a calendar on my wall of your girlfriend's. I don't know if I can say her name.
Of
Can
course
I?
you can.
Well, okay.
We'll hopefully get her on here at some
Deck.
point.
Yeah. I'm counting down the days till her visa expires and we can be reunited again.
Exactly, exactly. But anyway, so
Yeah. But we are back.
we are
We're
back,
back.
and one thing that we noticed, or have noticed over the time that I was in Japan, over the time since I've moved back, is that there is a huge amount of misinformation on Twitter, or
Too much.
on social media in general. Like there is
Yeah.
this obsession with propagating just false things about Japanese
Yeah.
culture, idealizing and romanticizing the strangest things to the point where it just gives this massively false identity of what Japan is, or to be
And it's
honest, gives them too much credit. I think a lot of the time as well.
absolutely. Yeah. But it's not just people who have never been to that who have this like image of perfect Japan. What we've noticed is that it's people living in Japan as well.
Yeah, and I don't know
And
if
they
it's
just
this.
think their situation is everyone's situation.
Absolutely, and it's I don't know if it's this really insular viewpoint of I think we know what the general demographic of foreigners living in Japan is, and a lot of them,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of them are a certain kind of person who are very insular and they kind of only view
Yeah.
Japan through their idealistic lens until they kind
Yeah.
of hopefully come to the realization that it doesn't fit at all.
Yeah.
So the point of
Yeah.
this podcast is to dispel those notions, is to just kind of get a feel as to whether those things are true or aren't true. It's not a matter of disparaging Japan itself, as the name might suggest. It's a matter of
Yeah.
taking these things that we see on social media and breaking down whether they actually are true or not.
Yeah.
So,
Don't get us wrong. Like we love Japan. Um Joe misses it so much.
it's
He's coming back and it's in his heart.
yeah.
Hokkaido's in his heart.
I don't think it can
And
keep me
Joe's in
away
my
for that
heart
long.
forever.
Yeah, I don't
And
think it'll keep me
no,
away
and
forever.
so it's more the people talking about Japan um, rather than Japan itself. We'll obviously correct things. And really, Japan does have its issues, and we'll probably get onto that a little bit. But it's more correcting what people say on social media, and I think there needs to be a platform out there. Like people post all the time on Twitter, but I think this is maybe the first podcast that are actually doing it in a kind of format,
Yeah,
like
and again, we don't want to come into everything.
professionally.
Yeah, we don't want to come into everything with this super aggressive mindset of stupid fucking foreigners living in Japan and stuff like that.
Mm.
It is just a matter of,
We do a little though. We do a little.
and I absolutely will. I see. I'm starting this off on a really, really nice and pleasant foot, but you get me going on some things, and it's going to be significantly
Yeah.
less pleasant. But
Well, you've come up with the very great title
bullshit
for
Japan.
this
Yeah.
podcast.
So
Bullshit Japan.
I mean,
Spread it.
there is so much bullshit. There is so much bullshit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with that, should we get
And
into the?
we've had enough. Yeah.
We have. Let's get
Absolutely.
into
Good link.
the first load of bullshit. So
And it's a big one.
it
It's a
it,
big load of bullshit.
it is well.
I can you smell it? Fucking hell.
I can, but let's reserve the bullshit judgment until the end of the podcast. So, a
Yeah.
user on Twitter said, "People in Japan don't have to drive cars as they have a highly efficient public transportation system. This person in particular hasn't owned a car other than two bikes. That's not even remotely a car. Since moving here 8 years ago, I don't miss driving at all." This is one of those things that just
Oh yeah.
it feeds into this massive Tokyo Osaka centric viewpoint of Japan, where it's this massive metropolis that's
Yeah.
built entirely on this super efficient transportation system. Which, while those transportation systems do exist in parts of Japan, not Hokkaido,
Yeah. Not yet.
not everywhere has that. There's what 11 million people in Japan who live
Yeah.
outside of urban developments. That's a huge
Yeah.
amount of people who will rely on,
That's a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
who will
A
rely
lot
on
of
things
cars.
like cars. There's also
Yeah.
the agricultural industry, which is massive in Japan, which requires trucks,
Yeah.
K cars, K trucks to get around and move
Yeah.
their product. Are they just going to go there with a basket of corn on the JR line, like,
On the mama cherry, yeah, just drive with the
yeah,
basket.
just
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
trailer behind them or something? But it is
yeah.
this like it it,
But
it really feeds in.
like,
Yeah, go ahead.
just the obvious. Cities are packed with cars anyway. What's he talking about? People don't like drive in Japan because of the public transport system. Yeah, it's good. Uh, Every city I've been to is packed with cars. Cars. I mean, we've done a podcast on taxi drivers before, so we won't get down to that. But there's cars everywhere. When there's a new space opening up in the city, it's like we often joke. It's like, okay, it's either going to be a conveni or like a parking space
Or
because they don't
apartment
have enough
complex.
parking for cars
Yeah,
or apartment. Yeah, yeah.
and
And
obviously
cars are everywhere.
there are dissuasions to having cars in that if you own a car, you have to have a registered car like parking space. You know,
Yeah,
it can't be like in England where you're like, oh, crapshoot, and hopefully be able to throw it on the street or paid timed parking
yeah.
or
I'll
whatever.
just like park outside. Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to have a parking space to own a car, which so obviously that there is a level of dissuasion there, especially when
yeah,
certain places have access to great public transport. But to say
yeah,
that to kind of put this blanket thing of people in Japan don't have to drive cars is ridiculous. It's a
yeah. This is the,
strange thing to lean on.
it's just that mindset of he's or she are just thinking about their situation in their city, and it's that mindset of Japan is Tokyo.
It
Japan is
is.
Tokyo, and that's it.
And you
And
see that so regularly as well. It's like anytime that
yeah.
you post anything on Twitter, the immediate assumption is that you're in Tokyo.
Oh, what was it? I said the other day, like on my old account before I got banned randomly. Still don't know why I was banned. Fucking fuming.
You know what that is,
And I
Deck?
said something about
It's bullshit.
what? It's bullshit Japan. There we go. We need like a little ding counter every
I
time. But
know.
I think I posted something like like I wish there was some more pools like in my area or something. And this guy posted a map and was like, "Oh yeah, there's 50 in the Shibuya area. What are you talking about?" I'm like,
It's like one
"I'm in
sec.
Sapporo, mate."
Let me just travel like however 600 miles, hour and a half plane just to get there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
if I
Just
get the
for a 20-minute
Shinkansen,
swim.
it's like if I get the
Yeah,
JR to Hakodate right now, I could probably arrive there in about
yeah.
10 hours. So
Well, that's when having a car would be feasible. So
yeah,
we've come full circle.
just just drive to Shibuya.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
it is. It's. I feel like even when people are planning trips or just have their expectation of what Japan is. Obviously, it's understandable that Tokyo is their idea of it because it's the
yeah,
first thing you see in the media. It's kind of like what's promoted to everyone everywhere, and
yeah,
there's so many worthwhile places outside of Tokyo for to live or to visit, and
yeah.
there's this need to dispel the idea that Tokyo is the only part of Japan or every other part of Japan is the exact same as Tokyo. Like Japan is
Yeah,
this massively varied place of different kind of like micro cultures within their actual culture.
absolutely.
You look at
Yeah,
where I lived, where you currently live, Sapporo,
yeah.
which is a city that was built in the late to mid 1800s, which was built with
Yeah.
American city planners to help them. So it's
Is
built
it the
on a
newest city? I think right. It's the newest city.
good
Is
question.
it?
I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head, but considering it's Japan's fifth largest city and it was built as
Yeah, it's
newly as
expanding.
yeah as the 1800s, and to be honest, the late 1800s is when it really started development as well. You know,
Yeah,
it's a part of Japan that really does have its own identity and its own culture and feel, and
yeah,
it's somewhere that is massively different to Tokyo and what people's expectations might be. And guess what? You probably need a car there.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And like it's winter now as well. So like the trains the other day, that the entire Japanese rail system throughout the entire city was cancelled.
Yeah,
So how else are you going to get places? You need cars. They specifically have winter tires that they sell because they know that people have cars. So
and
it's
as
just
someone who
oh
got the JR every single day for the better part
Yeah,
of 4 years, except for in the summer. They
yeah,
are not particularly reliable. Like everyone's expectation of Japan,
yeah,
Japan's rail being this absolutely faultless system that is
yeah.
by the like to the second on time
Oh,
is
yeah, yeah,
again a Tokyo centric view, but it's also not
yeah,
something that's true for Tokyo either. There's always massive delays
yeah.
from stupid
It's
things
like what
happening.
it's like. I think they kind of feel that's like all trains, and some yes, it's better than I would say like National Rail,
It's not that's
but
not a
also
high
like
bar. That is not a high
yeah,
bar.
true, true, yeah, yeah, yeah. But also like the underground or the subway for our American listeners. Yeah, that is on time. I would say almost to the seconds. But yeah, the Japanese rail, the overground, it's unreliable. I mean, it's reliable, but it's not as reliable as everyone says, as this guy makes out. It's not. You can't rely on it all the time.
No, you can't.
And
And but it again, it's not just that. It's if you look at somewhere like Hokkaido, where there are major city. Well, there's a major city and then smaller cities. So in between that, it's smaller towns and
yeah,
a huge amount of villages as well. And oftentimes there is probably either very limited public transport or
yeah,
absolutely zero public
exactly.
transport at all. So
Yeah, I knew someone. It was like they had to drive 2 hours to get to the train station because Hokkaido. Yeah, it's kind of like Sapporo and like but there are like you said, kind of major. There's a few cities, but they're very small cities, and there's various towns. But when you're talking like east and north, it's kind of yeah, it's very limited. With there's maybe like that track, one rail track,
yeah,
if that. And in winter, it's like the train often isn't going to come. So,
exactly.
but
And
what this person was saying was that like they tried to defend themselves, saying like, oh well, like someone was saying, oh yeah, there's like 20% of Japanese people, like or the population live in the suburbs or the village. And he was like, yeah, well, I live in the suburbs. I'm in the village, and we don't use a car. So, and then someone was like, well, where exactly do you live? And he said, oh, I'm 30 minutes outside this city he's in, city centre. And it's a very big
I was about
city.
to say the
And
city
someone was
is,
like,
as you can imagine, one of three
yeah,
very large cities in Japan.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's just like, that's still probably the city. Like, because it was 30 minutes by bike. So definitely still the city, if not kind of like the outside suburb.
Yeah, that is still
So
very much the city limits. It's
that's not the countryside. So
and it's like you look at somewhere like to-
bullshit.
you look at somewhere like Tokyo, and I feel like for a lot of people it's hard to kind of fathom what Tokyo is because there is Tokyo,
Yeah.
and then within each there's the districts, but then there's the Tokyo metropolitan area, which does encompass other cities as well. Like Yokohama is considered
Yeah.
part of that when it
Yokohama.
comes
Yeah.
to the population of it. So if you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, I live 30 minutes outside of Tokyo, you
Yeah.
probably you live in
Yeah,
you could live in
you get
Yokohama.
some people saying like, yeah, like some people are like, oh, I hate Tokyo. But it's that different.
Yeah.
It's like some people are just like, oh, if you go there, live in Yokohama. It's like it's blah blah blah. It's this, it's that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I
On
didn't
a
realize
slight
it's that
sidebar,
different.
I will use this
Yeah,
platform to speak effusively about Yokohama because Yokohama is awesome. Like
never
it's
been there.
speechless for the first
The
time.
shock. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
surprising. Like you've been in Japan what 8 years now?
All right. Well, I've been to many places. I've just got back from 2 trips myself, but I do need to get
Rub it
down
in.
to Yokohama.
Yeah, it's it's
So,
it's it's wonderful. It really is. It's kind of like it's
are
quite.
there cars there?
Um, let me think. Yes, of course there are. It's Japan.
Yeah.
It's
Do you need
Japan.
to check with the person? Yeah. Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
and to be honest, this could feed in. Speaking about cars as well, this could feed into another topic that I saw and presented to you the other day, but maybe we should leave that for another time. Which was something that was arguably it's not worse than this one. It's probably equally as bullshit, but it's just another example of people's weird warped perception of what Japan is.
Yeah. It's like you'd think once someone because that person was here, what did you say? Several years, right? How many years has that person been here?
I don't the
8
I'm not really sure.
They had two bikes. I think it was like 8 years. I think
Oh,
it was
it
the
was
same as
all
me.
same as you,
Two
Dick.
bikes.
And I mean,
Well,
obviously,
it just goes to show how much I've matured.
yeah. And the truth of the matter is that neither of us owned a car or had a car while we were in Japan.
No.
We never saw a need to because of where we were, which was, I mean,
Yeah.
you lived, not to give away your location unless someone wants to come and try and find you. You lived in downtown
Bring it on.
Sapporo. You lived a what, 5 minute walk from the, literally from the busiest part of town.
Yeah. Literally, yeah. So and like going to school, it's like I just hop on the train, 10-minute walk, and I'm there. It's like I don't need because I'm literally in the city centre, unlike the person who's like 30 minutes away by bike, so he's in the countryside.
Yeah, countryside,
Yeah.
super inaka. But
Yeah.
and that's the thing is like it's this absolute willingness to discount other people's experiences because of what you know. I don't know if it's like this
Yeah.
kind of internalized narcissism or whatever to not be able to
This is
think of
the
what
thing,
other
yeah.
people have or have to deal with. But you know,
Yeah, like even to phrase it correctly, like they could have made it into a question. Guy, like people on Twitter, do you think Japanese people don't need cars or blah blah blah? But to just give like a fact about it,
it
it's
is
like
it's the presenting it with
what?
absolute confidence
Yeah,
as if there's no way that you could
yeah.
possibly be wrong. But
Presenting it with confidence and coming out with bullshit.
uh,
That's what it is.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, you think about it like so. Miho, my partner, her parents, they have two cars between them. Do they live in a city? Yeah, they bloody do.
Mm,
But it's still
yeah,
it's still required. It's not this magical place where you're gonna step outside your door and get on this wonderful train that takes you to wherever you want to go. It doesn't exist or
yeah,
work like that. Again,
yeah,
the rail system itself, it works in wonderful ways. Like, you know, being having moved back to England, there is this obvious gulf between the two of them where train buses, okay, they're constantly late. Sometimes they just straight up don't turn up. English
yeah,
public transport is a whole other conversation. That is the
yeah, yeah,
definition of
yeah,
bullshit in a different way. But like, you do understand that there is a difference between them. You do understand that Japan's public transport is, you
yeah,
know, it's something that the rest of the world could probably look at and take pointers from. There is also the other
yeah,
side of it where some train drivers sleep in the office to make sure that they're able to work the hours that are required of them, which again, that's a whole other
yeah,
conversation of overwork in Japan.
yeah,
But Japanese trains
yeah.
are good. They're not the be all end all of transport. Like there are
Just,
other options.
just yeah, just because I don't know if this person uses trains or not. It sounded like maybe they do. The fact that they brought up their bikes, I guess maybe they just use bikes. But just because that person hasn't had a bad experience, to just have this image that, oh yeah, no one drives a car. Japanese the Japanese public transport system is perfect. It's just like use your head. Do you know what I mean?
And
Just
to be fair,
making these blanket
I'd
statements
love to see them
about
try and cycle into the city if they live 30 minutes outside of Sapporo in January.
yeah,
Good luck.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Good
What are you gonna do
luck.
then, motherfucker?
I mean, to be fair, some
That's a
people,
good thing we can swear on this podcast.
yeah, some people will whack the snow tires on, and I am all for that mode of transport. But I think trying to use that as
Yeah,
exclusively as a way to get around is going to end very, very poorly, and probably with
yeah,
like some level of hypothermia at the same time.
yeah. Like if that person has, like, I don't know what its situation is. I don't know, married, have kids. He said two bikes, so does that mean he has a partner, or I don't know? But then, like, if you want to go somewhere with someone, it's that you can't always go by bike. Maybe that person doesn't like riding bikes. Maybe that person's not as fit as you. And it's just like, just because you ride a bike doesn't mean everyone living in Japan also rides a bike.
Truthfully, though, most people in Japan do ride bikes.
They do ride bikes, yeah. There's
There
definitely more
is,
bikes than cars.
there are,
Yeah,
but and the other thing as
yeah,
well
yeah,
is like renting a car in Japan is so easy and so cheap,
yeah,
and is some like people don't may not feel the need to own a car, but they will use cars.
yeah. Well, owning a car is so fucking expensive.
Yeah,
Getting the license.
yeah. Getting a license,
Correct me if I'm
the
wrong,
shaken,
but
the insurance is so bloody
yeah,
costly, and you have to do it like every 2 years. So
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm right on this, but to get a license, it's like $3,000 or something.
Yeah, it's $3,000.
Yeah,
Because I remember there was a conversation I had with
mental. I think mine was like 50 quid.
I had the conversation with Miho where I was like, I would like to learn how to drive because I don't drive. For me,
Yeah,
there hasn't been much of a need to. Now there is, and
yeah,
it's frustrating. But like,
yeah.
there was a conversation where
Just have two bikes, mate. Just have two
it's all I
bikes.
need. Or I can
Yeah,
just step outside my door and get the magical train to anywhere. It's like a terrible journey
yeah,
song,
yeah, yeah.
but it is. It's like
Anyway, isn't that a place in Sapporo?
it is. It,
That
it,
was
it
a
was
that was a shit joke by me, everyone. That
no.
was a very shit joke
It's
by me.
it's a joke that I made every single time we went through it as well.
Oh, did ya?
Yeah, it's so what it's called Anywhere, and it sounds like anywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
So every single
yeah,
time I went through on
yeah.
the train with Miho, I'd just look at her and she'd give me a
Dude,
stare.
oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah, it's
Sorry. Yeah.
basically. But it is. It's
Oh, it just came up with that. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
No, you haven't. You're not as
Go
original
on.
as you
Go
thought
on.
you were. But I'm quite sad that I thought I was being original with it as well. But it is. It's
Yeah.
it's. I've lost my train of thought because of Anywhere now.
Yeah, what we're saying. Shit. Oh, it's not that you can just pop on a train and go anywhere, you said. But I
Yeah,
don't really know what you were saying before that.
yeah. So it's lost. It's lost. Isn't it?
Is it? Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, there is like I've
Just
lost
common
this.
sense. Just don't. I just don't get like this is a good opener for us because it's something that we've seen recently, so it's fresh. It kind of caused a little bit of a stir. People were retweeting it. That person then retweeted people retweeting him. He took screenshots. I think I'm in one of the retweets, but
That's a high honor.
so instead yeah instead of just admitting their mistake or whatever, this person said, by mistake, I posted a comment on a thread. Well, it wasn't a thread. He said that was his tweet on his profile, right? So I don't know what thread this is. Anyway, by mistake, I posted a comment on a thread filled with Western libs in Japan. I merely said it is doable for people in Japan not to own cars. Didn't say that. I am mystified why it triggered so many who are keen on saving us from global warming, Joe.
Oh
He
no!
didn't say
Oh
Joe.
no!
I added that bit.
He's gaslighting us with the bloody
Yeah, yeah.
with the global warming argument.
They fought hard for cars and can't live without. So
Here's
just
the other thing is as well is that a lot of these people who
yeah,
propagate absolute fucking bollocks on Twitter so often just double down. It is complete lack of self awareness where they're
yeah,
like, I refuse that I may have been wrong. I refuse that I wasn't able to see other people's
yeah,
viewpoints or other people's experiences.
yeah,
And it's like
yeah,
I'd have a lot of respect for someone if they were there like, oh
yeah.
look, maybe I was wrong. I didn't
Oh,
look
this was
outside.
my situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't look
yeah. I
outside of
didn't
my own
realize.
situation. But no,
Oh, really? Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I've made like the amount of times that I put something that in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that's so right. Put it out there, and everyone's just like, actually,
like the
this is
swimming
the
pool
case.
thing.
They're like the swim. Yeah, yeah,
Like when
yeah.
you,
I mean, to be honest, there's one, and the only one that I can find is the one that your girlfriend said, and I think it's the one that she used to go to as well.
it is, but
Do you remember that? Do you remember? Yeah.
there's also the one that is probably a 10-minute walk from your apartment that I told you about as well.
What?
The YMCA.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, I might check that out then.
Yeah, you should.
That's yeah,
So
yeah.
again, you were you know you're on this podcast right now admitting that you were wrong. You
It takes a big man. Yeah, yeah.
it does, which
And
this
like
person clearly isn't.
I don't then like retweet people going like, oh, all I was doing was this, or delete the tweet
And
or
calling
whatever.
people foreign libs or whatever he was calling them.
Yeah, Western libs in Japan,
Love
and
it.
I neither do I say I'm mystified why it triggered so many.
Triggered as well.
There's only one person who's triggered it. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think now would be a
yeah,
good time to do the vote on
yeah,
whether this is
yeah.
bullshit or not.
So this is something we're going to be doing at the end of each podcast. How are we doing this, Joe? Do you want to talk us through it? What do we both say bullshit, or do we say not bullshit, or
I
what's the
reckon
crack?
the
What do
best
we
thing
do?
to do is I'll just read out the general statement again in a kind of like
Yeah,
boil it down to what their exact point was. Sorry, and then I'm just gonna say that I was gonna say we
We've
just
literally we've been trying to like stop saying the city that this person's living in, like he or she. And over the course, I think we've given away like gender, where they live, everything. Basically, we tried so hard,
it
but
would be very
yeah,
difficult. It would be very difficult to give away any
yeah,
actual things about them. I mean, I don't know anything about them.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just have their tweet
I
in
mean,
front of me.
if you see two bikes outside an apartment, it's probably them.
Yeah, and
Go to a big
a
city
sticker
and
in
find
their
two bikes.
apartment window that says "fuck cars."
Yeah, fuck Western libs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was gonna say we could
Okay,
do
so
like a thumbs up or thumbs down situation. But if there are audio
oh,
listeners,
okay,
I
yeah.
don't think that's going to be particularly useful
Well,
for them.
we could say it and do it. We could say it and do it.
All right, so here's what I'm going
Or
to do.
I mean, it's bullshit. Japan. Should we just say bullshit or not bullshit? Should we use the word bullshit?
Yeah, Deck. People in Japan don't have to drive cars as they have a highly efficient public transportation system. Is this bullshit or not?
100% bullshit. Joe, what do you think?
100% bullshit. I'm glad we're in agreement.
Absolute bullshit. It's a
I'm
good
glad we're in
first start.
agreement. It is, and
Definitely.
it's a mild start. It's we may have seen
There's some rough ones out there. We've got some
there are some really rough
bangers
ones.
in the works.
There are some
Yeah.
lovely conspiracies apparently that are rife on Japanese Twitter at the moment, which is real strange. And those are some things that will.
Can't wait to get into them.
Oh, it's gonna be.
I'm mystified. I'm
It's
mystified.
it is gonna
I want to
be
get triggered.
soup curry level 10 spiciness on those ones.
That's hot, man.
It
That's
is.
hot.
It is hot. So
Yeah.
got those to look forward to, Deck.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed this. I think it's definitely a kind of new podcast. It's a nice well, I was gonna say it's a nice take, but it's an honest take. It's an honest critique where in a time of bullshit, honesty is needed,
Honesty
I
is
think.
needed.
And you and I can dispel the bullshit.
We can dispel the bullshit, hopefully. And then obviously there are more expert voices than us, like actual Japanese
Yeah.
people who will be getting on at certain points.
Absolutely. Who are hopefully in agreement with us. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be really uncomfortable if they're like, yeah, this isn't bullshit, and we're just like, oh
Yeah.
no, we are the
They're like,
people.
actually, yeah.
We are the people who we've been slandering for the
Yeah.
past however
I
long.
watched your first podcast where you said like 11 million people. No, that's not true. Actually, like the Japanese system, I've got some facts here about trains. You're like,
Oh,
just like,
so I don't get the facts out. Oh no. I looked at
yeah,
before this. I was like, I should come at least somewhat prepared. I'll have the tweet on hand, and I'll have at least one fact to kind of back up what I'm saying. So that's where the 11 million came
yeah,
from. It's accurate according
that was
to
good.
like by 2020, I think it was. So or 2021, whichever. Who cares?
Perfect.
It's near enough. Anyway,
Yeah,
there's a huge amount of people who aren't in the city and use cars. That is the takeaway from this
yeah.
podcast.
It's bullshit.
It is
Bullshit.
it is bullshit. Deck, it has been a pleasure.
You too, man. Hope to see you soon in person. But until then, let's dispel that bullshit.
Let's dispel that bullshit. I can't help but think that it's going to be a while before we see each other in person, but at least we have
Yeah,
the wonderful
yeah.
this wonderful means of dispelling bullshit in the meantime.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Me too.
Cheers for starting the podcast again.
Jim at that.